Hello, Sagittarius. I hope everybody's doing great. We have some love here from Apollo, sending out to everybody and me as well. Really looking forward to talking about all the messages that are coming through, both in the channeled information that I'll be giving to you in just a second and also in the cards. Let me put this lovely resplendent dog down and we'll get into all of the information that I want to share with you here. First of all, welcome to anybody that's brand new. I know that sometimes my name just pops up, and if you're brand new, let me just introduce who I am and talk a little bit about what I'm doing. My name is Nicholas Ashbaugh. Every month I like to show up and give you what you need to basically work through the month ahead. That includes any of the highlights and any of the challenges. We're in a special time though right now. Obviously, a lot of us are coming together, kind of united under this struggle, this global pandemic, and I'll be addressing that as well. There's no way that I could read the cards and not address the now and also what's coming ahead. I'd also like to welcome back all of my return fans and viewers. Thank you for continuing to show up, even if it's not your sign. I'm here trying to be here almost every day this month. So you're welcome to sit in on every session. There'll be something of use, especially the meditation. You can always show up for the last 15 or 20 minutes and get something out of that. So thank you if you're just cross-watching for one of your sun, rising, or moon signs, or if you're just showing up because you need support and a little bit of light. I'll try to do that for you. So let me talk about the way that I arrange this session each and every really day now, because I've been doing this, but I like to organize it in 4 major parts. I start with psychic information, a channeled message. I was up really early this morning, almost 4 in the morning, and I started to do a morning meditation and prayer. I have 2 signs I'm reading for. I have someone in the family that's not feeling well, and I connected with an angel, and I have some messages to bring through based on that. So it's for both signs that I'll be reading for today. And also, we'll be using a special meditation at the end to basically pray for one another and for like world healing, because this was a healing angel that came through. And it reminded me of the power of praying for others or wishing well to others. So we'll be doing that at the end, so stick around. In addition to the channeled message, I will use a regular deck of cards here to go ahead and look at, like I said, the blueprint for the month ahead. I expand it to look at health, wealth, love, and destiny after that. And then we do some soul work to look at opportunities for renewal. That's the theme of April that I'll be looking at. And although these readings are for April, they're really turning out to be 6-week forecasts. And also I'm incorporating a little bit of current events. So they're morphing based on what you guys need right now. So just show up. Like I said, it's going to be for now and for the next 4 to 6 weeks, depending on where your sign falls. And at the very end, we'll do that healing meditation with some sound therapy as well. So you get quite a lot here in about an hour. One thing that you can do while you're watching today is, if you like what you see, you can give back in a very small way, but it makes a difference. It helps support me. You can do a little sticker, send a unicorn, a rainbow, or something fun like that, or super chat just saying that you appreciate what's going on here. I don't do Q&A. I don't do pick a card, but that is a great way to sort of like put something in the gratitude or tip jar, and it means a lot to me. I'll give you a little bit more information at the end on how you can book a reading or how you can just get involved a little bit more on social media. In the meantime, I just want to say thank you and also extend some gratitude to both Ryan and Maria, who help keep the space safe and answer questions while I'm doing what I'm doing. They help me basically be able to be here and channel everything. Let's get into what came through this morning. So I'll talk about the one thing that came to me was I kind of got the feeling of like a detective or a sleuth. It was an image of like a magnifying glass, which shows me that things aren't always as they seem with people that you love or with things going on in your life. And I think it's really important right now to ask questions that you're maybe not always comfortable with asking. So, you know, we're in a time now where we have to think of things like, do you have your will in order? It's something you should look at. You know, do you have all of your affairs in order? And do you know what your family wants if something's going on? It's not a fun topic, but it's really essential. It's a good time to take care of stuff like that. Ask your employer if you need some extra assistance, if you need an advance on your paycheck. Ask your landlord if there could be, you know, a month of grace for what's going on. People aren't working. Don't be afraid to ask. All that could happen is you might have a moment of discomfort, but you might find out that you have a lot of support and help, and people are more than able to sort of be there for you. So get the lump out of the throat. We'll try to open up the throat chakra, if I remember that in the meditation, and allow yourself to just say the words. It's better to do it. And then that way you don't worry later. It's like, I already dealt with that. It's one weight off your back. You can control certain things like this. The flow of information is something that is within your control, even in these times where it feels like, how am I going to make sense of all of that? And then I also want you to check in repeatedly with people. I used to answer a hotline for people that were having a hard time. And one of our rules of thumb was that you usually had to ask 2 to 3 times to really find out how somebody was doing. We've kind of, I think almost all cultures have adopted the French ça va, like, what's up, what's up? That's the answer is the same as what you ask, like, so ça va, ça va. But what you want to really look at is say, no, how are you doing? Really, is everything okay? Or how's work? And ask a few times, and usually around the 3rd time, and you need to really care about it when you're asking, around the 3rd time or 4th time, the walls come down and they'll say, well, if you really want to know, this is what's going on. Or actually, no, I'm great. Do you need any help? But you can get the honesty with that. So part of it is asking for help or asking for information or looking out and getting some support. And the other piece is for people in your life that you care about to ask a few times to see how they're doing. I think that now more than ever, we have an opportunity to work on integration and then expansion. What I mean by integration is, a lot of times we kind of get this sort of mosaic or puzzle piece of all of our skills, our loves, our interests, and we kind of just keep going through life, skipping around, but we don't get a chance to kind of like pull it all together. So if you're one of the people that, like if you're not working in a hospital or if you're not working at, a grocery store, somewhere where it's really inundated, you might have some downtime. Take advantage of that downtime to focus on integrating and thinking, what have I learned? What do I want to do when this is all said and done? And where can I start to focus on, like, maybe trying new things or exploring or expanding? So each sign has had a slightly different message. Yours is actually going to be about figuring out how to take something and expand it into something more. So maybe you've always had a skill that's just not been utilized, maybe because you've been so busy or your boss lacked the visibility or imagination to see that you could do it. And now you're being forced to kind of reinvent yourself. So take some time and meditate on truly what makes you happy, because, I've said this before, but I spent about 15 years or so hopping around to different corporate jobs. They were good jobs, but you kind of go through, sometimes you just think, well, I just have to keep doing this because that's what I went to school for. That's what my friends expect me to do. That's what I've said I'm going to do. We're allowed to change our mind. And I had someone, I didn't listen to them initially. It was probably halfway through my journey. They said, why are you're going to go get another job in another company that's just like this and expect it to be different? It's not going to be different. I was stubborn and I thought, well, but still maybe I can change, or maybe the right environment. So what I should have done is had a wake up call then and integrated and thought, I have all these skills. I'm on this path. I got what I needed. Now let me kind of really acknowledge who I am and what I want to do and go down this path. So if you're at a moment where you have a chance to look at that, great. If you're super busy, I think what's important for you is to make some time for that sort of self-care. And of course, time to check in and think, is this what I want to be doing? Once everything quiets down, I think everybody needs a moment to sort of take stock in their life. If you are one of the people that has a little bit of extra time, what I saw for your sign is using your hands. And it's kind of therapeutic because we're not allowed to touch people or things as much, but you could work on a project. So I have hands-on passion project or a goal. So sit down and think about something that you want to change in your life. It could be fitness. It could be a home improvement. It could also be a creative or artistic endeavor. And that is probably the strongest version of any of these that I could think of, because it's allowing you to take the energy and become an intuitive channel and do something with it. So more than ever, now more than ever, I should say, this is a great time to use your hands, use your heart, create something that matters, right? So let's go ahead now and get into the messages as they come through with the cards here. And then we will look at everything from a bigger lens as we do the expanded forecast. I'm going to remain quiet at this point. I just ask that you guys hang around and be patient as I lay everything out. And then we'll go into great depth about what each one represents in your life. And thanks again for everyone joining from all the different time zones, all the different parts of the world. It's great to see you. One more shuffle there. These cards are stubborn today. There we go. We have a lot of like binary cards here going in different directions, which is interesting. And let's read this one here. This is the catalyst here. All right. This is basically making room for a miracle or a shift to happen. It says you've won the lottery, which most of us would feel like, what are you talking about? That's insane. But if you read the caption below it, it says, make room for wonderment. And I think that because this card was reversed, this is showing that for some of you, there is a hidden blessing and a chance for you to basically see something that wasn't there. And we see that sort of duality coming through when we're looking at love. And I actually did get the Two of Cups coming through for you as well this month. So there's a chance to either make peace with the shadow elements of your life and do integration in that part, to discover some sort of new talent or side of yourself that you maybe didn't have a chance to really embrace before, to heal or mend a relationship and basically make peace. And for some of you, what seems like it is a sort of unnecessary halt or an inconvenience, it actually might be a really great blessing, because from this, there's going to be a lot of opportunity and a lot of shifting and changing that's going to come through that otherwise might not have. Sometimes, there are certain plants, I was thinking about this in nature, that only grow after a wildfire, because the coating on the seed requires fire or heat to open it up, to crack it open. And I feel like, so for some of us, we're going through that moment where there's kind of like this wildfire, this big, massive change that's going across the globe. And it's destructive, and it's upsetting, and it's emotional. But it's also creating change and rapid change. And sometimes on a planetary level, we need events like this to shift consciousness. And so that's one of the benefits of an otherwise really sort of perhaps like saddening or anger-inducing sort of event. So I always try to find the blessing in it. It's hard sometimes, especially if you've lost someone. I can't put a silver lining on that. But what I can say from a global perspective is that it is shifting consciousness, and it's bringing us together in a way that it hasn't. And you may discover something about yourself or be able to capitalize on something in your life that, like, I've talked about people that have had projects that they haven't finished. Now you get a chance to change that project and shift and grow. So I'm excited about that for you. And I think that, you're going to have unexpected blessings. Let's look at the cards here. Now we'll see what some of those blessings could be. I was talking about my connection this morning with speaking with an angel, actually. Some of you are going to have a similar sort of intuitive awakening where your skills are much more open than they have been. One thing that I sometimes can't always do in waking hours, but I was able to do this morning, is clairaudient communication with another, like an entity. So this morning, if I just had to really focus, and I was able to hear and speak with that being, and that's not something that I can always naturally do. It takes a lot of focus. For those of you that are natural mediums or clairvoyants, you know that it does take an energetic focus, and you have to really be listening to hear that. It's not your ear, it's your ear chakra that opens up. So some of you may have a chance to tap into certain sides of your abilities that you didn't know you had. It doesn't have to just be intuitive. It could also be artistic, which, by the way, really is intuitive. Or you might get sort of like an epiphany, an understanding all of a sudden, I need to do this. A synchronicity will open up where you're in the right place at the right time and you're able to make a connection. So there's some super powerful things coming through this month where I honestly believe that if we call upon the help, it's there. And that's what I want to do in the meditation. I may actually do a standalone one this weekend as well, calling in angels again, or connecting with a guide or an angel, because there's a little bit to learn on how to ask for that help. And it really is to make sure that it's unconditional. It's sometimes selfless, that you're looking at the bigger purpose and then they come through. So we'll talk about that later. But anyway, psychic and creative energy at a very big high for many of us this month. Because when you're in a feeling of being vulnerable or sometimes even desperate, or you're hurting, that's when that help really comes through. Take care of yourself. When I look at the Seven of Pentacles, there's a general note that you can recover, that you can improve, but it also, of course, is a card that's saying don't extend yourself too far financially. So many of us are at a point where the money's not coming in, and we're looking at the end of the month when bills are coming, and we're trying to make sense of all of that. My advice to you, having gone through it a couple of times, is to, as I said, ask those questions and don't wait for the first to come. Start to look at what your plan B and your plan C is going to be, so that you've already got the wheels in motion. And asking and planning and doing all of this now is going to put you in a really good place. It's a great thing to do. So don't be afraid to speak up and ask, because one thing that I've always discovered is a lot of other people could be experiencing the same thing. So if you're in an apartment building, for instance, you can connect with a lot of people and they may be experiencing the same situation. If you're in a hospital or something like that, the same thing could be going on. Just make sure that you're knowing that you're not alone, and you can ask for help. If you're hurting, or if you feel like, again, you're feeling a little isolated, then reach out, call one of those. There's a lot of hotlines where you can talk to somebody. It's important to do that. Obviously, financially speaking, when I'm seeing a card like a 7 of Pentacles, it just means don't spend anything that you don't need to spend. So there you go. With the Star card, in the deep past, I would say for many of you, just like we saw with the High Priestess, it's a return to connecting to something that's important. It's your soul coming through and saying, hey, don't forget about me. It's kind of like when my dog is looking at me in the corner and saying, I'm still here. Let's go for a walk. Let's chill out a little bit. You're working too hard. Your soul's going to come through and do the same thing and remind you that it's important to be present, to do what you love. And the Star card is also, it's very gentle energy. We've got the sort of water bearer there reminding you that everything flows. This too will pass, but it also is giving you a chance to connect to your higher space and what matters. This is the probably ultimate integration card, because it's on par with the world, because what it indicates is, I know who I am. I'm not afraid of that. I'm not making apologies for it. And what you think of me, I don't really need to know. And so like, it's sort of a star stands on its own. So I think many of you are starting to learn how to be independent. And because we're sort of, some of us in isolation right now, it doesn't matter what other people do. You can get back into that idea or that energy of anything is possible. Even in this period of shifting or changing, a new opportunity could open up for some of you. It may be different than what you thought it would be. Because when I looked at that, the Catalyst card, to me, this reminded me of like the 4 of Cups, of a blessing that's just on the horizon or just beyond you, but you don't see it because you're looking over here. So keep an open eye and use your imagination, and don't be afraid to also throw your hat in for something different than you would normally do. Reinvent yourself. Queen of Pentacles in reverse. Definitely take care of you. I've seen a lot of reversals when it comes to Pentacles this month, particularly the Court cards. And that's showing not that people are selfish, it's showing that survival is kicking in a little bit, like survival instincts, and just sort of like checking up on, wait, how did I get here? Some of us maybe have been working so hard that our health isn't where we want it to be. We're just stressed out. Or you look around the house and you think, oh my gosh, I haven't had a chance to clean here in like a year because I've worked so much. Take care of yourself. This is a house, home, and self card. It's also a card of parenting and being a like mother or father. So it feels like these are the things that want to come through. It's not about work this month so much. We already talked about the money with the 7 of Pentacles. And also getting your life in order. So take some time and manage yourself this month. Don't worry about other people. Not so much. Just your immediate family, I would say. And then with respect to that, we see the 2 of Cups in reverse, which is making sure that you are there for them, they're there for you. That if there's any sort of imbalance this month, it's a chance to either like let that go if it's not feeling like something that you want to invest in, or if you're at a place where you realize, you know what it reminds me of is just to bring a pop culture reference in, that Jennifer Lopez movie. I think it was like Wedding Planner, not the best movie, but it's a good guilty pleasure if you like it. But she had worked so hard that when she clicked the buzzer on her apartment complex, no one knew her. So sometimes we get so busy in our life that we're strangers to the people around us. And some of you may find that right now. I think I read somebody's comment where they said it was like they were stuck in eternal Thanksgiving or something, and they were surrounded by people that drove them nuts. I think that this is a chance to kind of mend the ways a little bit with that. And I think what this is really is that maybe you've just lost touch with who you've been with, and try to have fun with it. Try not to think of it as a burden. And I think it's important to have some space if you are in a big house with, or in a small space rather, with a lot of people. Have your corners, have your projects, have a schedule. But at the end of the day, you're in this together. If you can't love the people you're with, why are you with them? That's a bigger question here. And I think that's really what the Two of Cups is bringing up. It's putting relationships to a test, and it's giving you a chance to sort of think, am I also happy with this? And is there some work that I could put into that relationship? How much of it is me? How much of it is them? Because you can't get angry at someone for being themselves. And if they're not showing up, that's something else. So I think that some of you are being given a chance to look at relationships again and think, how does it serve me? How does it serve them? If you're feeling lonely, which could also be an indication of the Two of Cups, as I said earlier, reach out. Checking in it's a two-way street. When you start to do it, people are going to be more apt to do it with you. So start the chain reaction. That's how I could have put that on a card too. Start the chain reaction of positive energy this month. And when we do our prayer and meditation at the end, we're going to create that chain of light, that chain reaction. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget it for you. Sometimes I get so into the reading that I'll forget it. So I'm going to write that for the meditation, chain reaction. Okay. Moving along. This is a month where a lot of you have a chance, as we look at the ego, to explore, to dream. Nothing wrong with it. Seven of Cups can be actually a very powerful card because dreaming is something as adults, for whatever reason, we're not encouraged to do. Our parents told us we couldn't do it as kids, or, at work, we're not allowed to do that. It's all about productivity. This month, there's a chance for you to reconnect with that powerful energy of daydreaming, of meditating, and thinking what you want to do. As we connect that to the environment, this is also taking ownership of one of those things. We have the Empress card here. Yeah. So for some of you, you may exit this thinking, whenever I go back to work, or maybe if I don't go back to work and decide to do something else, I have to have a lot more ownership or stake in what I'm doing. This is also a card of maternal energy. So we have Queen of Pentacles, Two of Cups, the Empress. So for some of you, if you haven't had a chance to spend time with your partner or a parent, because it could be either way, then this is a chance to really sort of mend the ties with that person as well. It's upright, which for me portends good things. That's basically saying that you have all the positive energy of this, which is to command people's attention, to stay organized, to bring like law and order in anything that you're doing. It's a really good card. It can also be some of you deciding to start a family. Even amidst all this stuff, the three of those cards together show me that. So be careful. If you're not looking to do that, I get a little indication that that's possible. All right. I received the Eight of Wands, also reversed in another sign that I was reading for this week, and this is in the possibility space. So I believe it's really bringing in a similar message to you, particularly since you got this hidden blessing for the catalyst, which is when you have one part of your life slow down, another part picks up. So there is a chance for new productivity to kick in this month. Whatever it is that you thought you could never do before, or you didn't give yourself time to nurture, why don't you shift focus this month and use that to cope with this lack of control? I think that I know stress is a reaction to stimuli around us. So if you can react by being productive, that's a really great reaction. Instead of sort of sitting and watching or listening to the news constantly, think, all right, I'm going to listen to that. I'm going to stay informed. I have to. But now at a certain point, I'm going to shift focus, and then I'm going to put some energy into this. I'm going to look at this. I'm going to do this. Stay busy. You could find that after a couple of weeks, your life is in like tip-top order, and you're ready to go back to whatever opens up when we finally start to re-enter society and all of that. So be productive, be creative, have fun, and see what you can do with that. There's a necessary component with this, which is to create a schedule. And that's also what the Empress is saying. So I've been working from home since 2015. Yeah. So this isn't as much a shock to me. What is a shock is that we're on lockdown here in Los Angeles. I'm sure and all of California, actually, that was new yesterday. So I'm sure a lot of you have had similar things. Many countries like Italy are in much worse places than we are in California right now. But the weird thing is that you can't just go to the store or connect with people. You have to keep distance. People can't pet your dog, stuff like that. So in order to not let that get into your head, like I'm in the middle of getting my book ready to release later this year. So that's an example of how you can I also still see clients and do all these videos. So I'm staying super busy so that I can try to make this a productive time in my life. And then that way I feel like I have some control. So I think if you do that, it's going to be a really great exercise for you. And this is what we're going to be focusing on in the final part of this reading today, which is how can we give back to the world? So I'm trying to do that every day by showing up. I'm also going to help all of us. I believe in the power of prayer and meditation. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. So we're going to try to send some love and light out into the cosmos today, and you'll get a healing because of it. I did this morning when I was praying for someone in my family. It boomeranged right back and I went to sleep. It was this beautiful sort of energy that washed over me. So, and I had a chat with that angel and then it put me to sleep. So prayer and praying for someone else, it's so powerful. So I want all of us to pray for one another. You'll get a little boost from that too, but like, it's going to be a good blanket for the world. Six of Wands is thinking about others. And sometimes it's about success. But in this case, it's actually about thinking about the people around you. Be polite, be kind, give them the benefit of the doubt. They're probably going through stress just like you. Ultimately, this is a reassurance that there will be a brighter day. There will be something better down the line. But it does carry with it the number 6. And I think that's pretty accurate too. I was seeing at least 4 to 5 months of changing and shifting. I think we're going to have a lot of economic ups and downs during that period. And it's going to take a while. But that is a reminder that when it's done, we come through stronger. I mentioned yesterday about 9/11. For those of us in America, we went through that. And in many ways, it brought us together and closer. It also broke apart certain parts of how we operated. But, you know, there's a resilience to that. Anybody that's been in a war-stricken country and has survived has also experienced that solidarity and that ability to kind of have this feeling like I can persevere, I am strong. So hold on to that. Keep that metal in your spirit and it's going to help you. This is what we feel right now, iceberg. It was reversed. It doesn't matter which direction it is. It's actually more powerful reversed because what is the lower portion of the iceberg but the heavier piece of it, right? The top piece was just sort of like basically surface. You don't really know what's going on. But I think some of us are starting to understand the depth of what's going on in the world, and it makes us feel alone, isolated. That's what I see when I see an iceberg. There's danger. We don't know how to control it. An iceberg represents that. So I've given you several tools already on how to deal with that isolation. And I think that's really that's the important piece emotionally. You're not alone. You're connected here today with me and with everyone else here. So keep showing up. I don't care what sign you are. You're welcome to show up every day. And I'm going to try to do meditations on days that I don't do readings. So together, we'll get through all of this, yeah? As far as some other health issues that might be going on, it makes sense. I've got a lot of queen cards or court cards, the High Priestess, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Empress. Whenever I see three or four, or sometimes even more of those, it's a reminder that you need to move your legs. There are some free videos on YouTube where people show you how to work out. Some of them are really fun. Some of them are really intense. Use those. There are some great meditation and yoga videos as well. Use those. So you don't have to pay anything. We're all kind of in a hard place, but support them by just watching and let the ads play. And that's a great way to support the creator. So do that and exercise. I think that's important. I'm also seeing a little bit of nutrition stuff off. Whenever I see 7 of Pentacles, it can show that maybe the quality of the food that you're eating is not what it normally should be. Like vitamins and minerals are off a little bit. So just take a look at how you're balancing out your diet, okay? If you have any problems, work with a health professional, of course. That's your health card. As we look at wealth, we have trying to find something that makes you happy here. The card says pleasure, but it's reversed. So I think some of you might be in a place where you feel like it's not okay to have fun, or you have to sort of give yourself permission to do something that is joyful, or maybe you're in a good place where you're not really struggling. Listen, if joy is in your life, that's a divine right. Be happy. If you can, share that joy with others, whether it's by giving a little bit extra to them if you have more than enough, or just by smiling when you walk outside. Somehow share the love, share the light. Put your spotlight on the world right now. It needs it. And don't deny yourself the ability to have something that brings you joy. Find that joy. Reading, watching something on Netflix, calling a friend up. When I grew up as a kid, pre-iPhone, pre-flip phone days, back when there was corded phones on the wall. I remember I had a line in my room, like most kids did in high school, and you would just talk to your friend. You would do homework on the phone together, or you would talk about something on television. And even when I was in college, sometimes we would watch TV shows talking on the phone. So there was that phone connection that I think people in 70s, 80s, early 90s had that people in the 2000s plus don't. Get back into that telephone. And now we have cooler ways. You can FaceTime. So do some FaceTime, some virtual sort of hanging out. That's going to bring joy. You can do things together. It'll be a lot more fun. Okay. So connect using technology, but don't be afraid. Like when I do a private reading, I don't do it via video. I just do voice. I get a lot more from the voice than this. So just know that it's powerful just to connect through the voice, hear the other person and truly hear them. Don't get distracted by this. I have clients I've read for and I have no idea what they look like. And it's more powerful that way because I'm just connecting with their soul and their voice. So do that this month. That's your wealth card. By the way, through that, it's an odd card to come up in wealth, but I would say through connecting with other people, you could also find one of these hidden opportunities. So someone finds out what you're doing or what you're not doing, and they're like, you know what? I actually heard someone is looking for help, or maybe you could do this for me. I need some help with this. So keep that connection open. Keep the, your sort of the old-fashioned Rolodex, whatever we call it now, just that virtual community open and the lines open, because some people will be looking for work. You may be looking for work. You may have ideas and ways to support each other, particularly if you're in an industry where, like creative industry, which I used to be in, you would always exchange numbers and be able to sort of like call in a favor and know like, oh yeah, I'm gonna work with this person because they're amazing. So think of people like that now. They need it, they'll be appreciative. And again, together you can do a lot more. When we look at, we already talked about the Seven of Pentacles. So just be wise when it comes to your finances. All right, health, wealth, and love. So for love, this is a heavier card. There's a few things that I get with this. The first is for many of you this month, because of the time alone, you are kind of, it's almost like a mirror is being held up in front of you and you have a chance to look at yourself. And the quiet time can be difficult for people that don't meditate. Let's say you're you have like a blue collar job, you work 3 jobs or something, and 2 of them are slowing down and you have all this time and you're just thinking too much. And I would say if you're going into the darker energy too much without trying to shine a light into it or to transmute it, that's where you want to be careful. That's where you want to pick up the phone. That's where you want to shift things. Now, the nicer element of this card is that you could integrate with the shadow, and the shadow is just basically there to teach you. Anytime we get a fear or an uncertainty or a doubt, what we want to do is go into that fear and say, I'm going to learn about this so that I understand why it came up. What was the trigger? Why am I afraid of this? If there's a doubt, you work on yourself and eventually you work on confidence and think, I'm just going to go for it. What's the worst that will happen? And you start to pull in that shadow, and pretty soon it changes energetically and you're just light. The shadow indicates a presence of light. Think of how it works. The sun shines on an object and casts a shadow. For the shadow to exist, light has to exist too. So you can turn and look solely at the shadow, or you can look at the light and understand what created it. And then when you look at it attached to yourself, you realize the shadow is me. There's nothing to be afraid of. That's me. So I love myself even when I don't look the way that I think I normally do. So you are your shadow. Connect with it. Love all the parts of yourself, the good, the not so good, the decisions you made that were great and not so great, and then just make better decisions and move forward. And the shadow is going to follow you. That's part of how this particular dimension works. But we can keep integrating it and loving it so that it becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. Think of the light at noon. You don't see the shadow anymore. So that's what you want to meditate on, is bringing the light so bright that the shadow fades. It may still be there, but it's no longer the main thing that you're focusing on. For people in your life, don't demonize them. They're there, there's love, there's something higher that eventually brought them into your life. Try to find the love in the relationship, forgive them, or at least let them go if you can't kind of get into that place of higher energy. I love the last card. I was going to say I like it, and then I really love the card. I don't just like it. Simplify your life, traveling lightly. This is really where we need to be at this point. All the stuff around us, it's nice, but we don't need it. I was recounting an experience that I had to the sign yesterday that I read for. I've had a couple points in my life. One where I moved across country, where I moved from Boston to the West Coast. And I didn't take everything with me, and I didn't need it. And I felt such this sort of like rush of opportunity. There was another point where I lost a job, and I had to kind of like put everything in storage or sell a lot of stuff. And by the time I started out again, like I didn't even have a bed and stuff like that. So I've had points in my life where I haven't had anything around me, and it's not the end of the world. You can come back from that. You can be okay. It's not fun. It's not fun sleeping on the floor, but you get, these are the basics. And I think if we can have those things, we're good to go. So the Fool is saying, don't be afraid of a fresh start. Don't be afraid to move or to move on. And remember that you can get through this and to lean on others around you. I think that's important. And if you're in a good place, help other people. Simple messages, but important messages. Let's go ahead and review what we've talked about. And then we'll go a little bit deeper on maybe how you can become the Fool in your life, the positive energy of the Fool. Yeah. Okay. So let's go into the channeled messages first. The first thing that I talked about was not being afraid to basically ask tough questions. Talk to a boss about what's going on with your job. I think it's fair. You have the right to ask, can I come back? Am I laid off? What's going on? Should I be worried? That's a good question to ask. Ask questions of your loved ones. What are your intentions? What do you want? Especially if you're sick. Make sure that there's a will. Make sure there's a trust. Get those things taken care of. It doesn't matter if you're 22 or 100. These things are important. Check in with people. Same thing goes in. It doesn't matter if there's a college-age student or someone that's retired. They need love. They need to be checked in on. The more you do that, the more likely they are to call you back. It cuts both ways in a positive way there. This month, you have a chance to take a look at all the tapestry of your life and find some sort of organization. Possibly then go deeper into areas that you truly love. So integrate, then expand. It's important to have something that brings passion, that brings purpose. Find that, grow it, work on it. If you can use your hands, really powerful this month because it gives us something that we can literally hold and touch in a time when we're told that we can't do that. Even if it's like gardening, that'll give you great grounding and it'll give you a chance to create something beautiful. So many of us feel like this card is reversed. So it's sort of like my abundance has been taken away from me. But when we read the smaller caption, it says, make room for wonderment, or I would even say miracles. There's a lot of light in this. And if we look closely at this card, it's showing almost like this angelic figure moving forward, allowing their heart space to radiate out. So that's really what you want to be focusing on. Your intuition is heightened. Take advantage of that heightened intuition. Be creative. Don't second guess yourself. If you get some sort of an indication of what to do, it's probably the best thing to do. Yes, we're all struggling this month. I think it would be hard. You'd be hard pressed to find one person that hasn't felt the impact economically. I would expect every sign that I read for to see something indicating a reduction of resources. So there you go. But with that being said, there's a chance to invest in yourself, to spend more wisely. We didn't get the Six of Pentacles, but that would probably be the solution to the Seven of Pentacles here, is just to stretch that dime a little bit more. For some of you, if there's something about your skill set that you haven't leaned on or explored, I feel like it could actually bring you a moment of opportunity or abundance, even within this shift that's going on economically and on a global scale. The Star and the Page of Pentacles is a breakout or a breakthrough. So I think some of you could reinvent yourself and come out of this stronger than you are now. And that's the blessing. But it isn't fun necessarily to go through it because it might mean a layoff, a furlough, a loss of a job, or uncertainty. But that kind of makes you create something out of that. So be open to that. Relationships are definitely being put to the test. Even the best of friends or loved ones, if you're together every day, you're going to have, any of the cracks in the relationship show. But if it's a good relationship, you'll work through it. If, however, the other person tends to push this sort of polarized energy at you, this might not be you, this could be them, then you've got to remind them, I'm a mirror of you. I like to basically reference pop culture because I think it helps. There's a Dixie Chick song that came out, Gaslighter, but she says at the very end, she said, I'm a mirror of you, of everything that's kind of going on. And she's like, you broke me, but I'm still waiting for my apology. So for some of you, just remember, it cuts both ways. There's two sides to this. I liked that she was saying, I'm your mirror. Everybody that we bring into our life is our mirror, positive or negative. So I had a light worker once that came through when I was in a tough time with a lot of difficult people in my life. And they said, source yourself out. Think of how you got these people in there. They were attracted to something, to that crack that was somehow in your sort of auric field. So if you have something going on there, it's 50-50. So remember that you can take a lot of control over what you're doing, which is awesome. There's a hidden opportunity this month to actually be very productive once you move past what you used to do, focusing instead on what you can do. Think of others, give them the benefit of the doubt, smile, help them, lean on them, and also allow them to lean on you, figuratively, of course, social distancing notwithstanding, but you know what I'm saying with that. Also, this is a reminder that you will see a brighter day. It's not going to go on forever. All right, that doesn't diminish what we're going through now, but it is important to focus on the future state as well. It's okay to feel alone. We all do, yeah? So I said, even I do as I'm going through this, because I can't connect with the barista at the end of the street. I'm drinking water this morning, not tea. So we all are adjusting in little ways. And most of us can't even afford to eat out. You have to kind of cook for yourself. So there's a lot of changes, a lot of shifting. Take care of yourself. But guess what? Icebergs can and do melt. And this one is not going to always feel the way that it does. Find something that brings you pleasure and joy. It's your divine right. Don't worry about it. It's okay. And make sure that you're in a place where you allow others to be happy too. If they're not going through some of the same struggles or pain that you are, that doesn't make them necessarily insensitive or you cursed. You're just at different spectrums. You're going through different walks of, different experiences. At some other point in their life, they're going to experience things that are different than you. We're not competing. This isn't a sort of cosmic competition. But empathy is super important. And I think exercising common courtesy and just making sure that you are kind to people, that's really what's coming through loud and clear. The "you're not alone" message, again, has dual meanings, which is, if it's a partnership and there's problems, try to work it out. If you are feeling alone, look at how much of the aloneness could be actually your energy pushing people away too. So work on trying to create an inviting energy and space around yourself. You get some time to work on you. So if you're single and happy or single and looking, use this time to just sort of really get strong in your life so that when we can finally integrate a little bit more with other people in our life, then you're going to be in a high energy. And take a walk. This is really important. We are even in LA allowed to get out and walk our dog or take a walk. Just can't be in like contact with other people, but it is important to connect with nature. I did a meditation on connecting with trees and allowing them to kind of, I think I'd actually just talked about it on Twitter, but it's important to kind of sometimes meditate with nature because it can ground you in a way that you sometimes can't do on your own. So I don't care if it's, snowy, rainy, or sunny, give yourself a chance to kind of get outside. I think it's going to be really, really important. All right, I'm going to take a drink of water. We're going to expand the forecast and then we'll meditate. All right. Past, present, and future influences on how to shift your life, your consciousness, your emotions. How to get out of this iceberg for some of you, right? Past first. So the past influence. All right. I actually said this for yesterday's sign, which was what worked before isn't working anymore. I feel like on a sort of, on a global and cosmic scale, we're being forced to innovate and think of things differently. Also, money does not equate happiness. It certainly can make life easier and it can make you happier. But to me, the Wheel of Fortune is much bigger than that. It's about life path, self-worth, and a new cycle in your life. You're in it right now. It's already started. You just didn't know it until now. So this has been probably brewing for the past year or so. I'm not talking about what's going on in the world. I'm talking about what's going on in you. There's been a change and it's been gradual. Right here and right now, you're being asked to sort of step up and break through it a little bit. And it'll be a new cycle in your life, which means at the beginning, sometimes there's more foundation. You got to build it up, but it can be exciting too. I like that we call it butterflies in your stomach. Butterflies are transformation. And what is your stomach but your third chakra, relationships, power? So get those butterflies. Find your power. I think it's a good thing. Present opportunities. So working on yourself, using your hands, as I said earlier, finding something that brings your attention to something that you can control and create. Be the creator this month. You create your reality always, but this month more than ever, and I would say this time more than ever, I don't care if you're watching this before April or, after, whenever you hear this video, it's important for you to start working, do something now, and create your own sort of routine. Also, with this, a lot of times in the Five of Wands, we forget that other people are there. We're more powerful together than we are isolated. So teamwork and team and community and family and the world. It's basically bringing us into that connective thread that we forget sometimes. Okay, and King of Pentacles reversed. So I do think many of you are at a point now where you can decide, I want to really own or create or develop something in my life. To me, this is going back to school or taking what you've done before and deciding, like I said here with the Empress card, we've got 3 court cards there with the Queen of Pentacles, the Empress, and well, she's not really a court card, but she's a queen, and then the King of Pentacles. So what I'm seeing here is a chance to really no longer feel like you're taking orders from other people. So finding your inner strength, doing what you want to do, speaking up, and having authority. So a lot of what's going on is finding your power and finding a way to do something that really matters, that really makes you happy. So if we kind of recap what we see here, title, money, status doesn't actually always equate to what you would think the Wheel of Fortune is. They're just things. They don't necessarily go with us. Remembering that there's a lot of other people that are going through the same thing and that together you can actually make more progress than you might imagine. Deciding to take ownership of what's going on in your life and now be the one that's basically behind the wheel. With a king, a queen, an empress, and a high priestess, there's a lot of power there. And so I would say don't be afraid to be the powerful one. Don't be afraid to step up. And with both of the King and Queen of Pentacles, which I see as mother and father more than any of the other suits, I would say there's something that you can birth this year, that you can create, that you can release. So for those of you that have been dragging your feet, this is the year, later in the year, probably after June, July, but there's a chance to let that out into the world. So like me, don't wait for things to get better to do it. I'm doing it while things aren't good so that when it's better, I can let it go. And then it's good to go. Otherwise, I have to wait another year. So use the time you're given wisely. Before we meditate, I want to talk a little bit about my experience with the angel, and then we're going to meditate. If you can stick around for this, please do, because you'll get a healing, and it's free. It's a good thing. All right. So as I said, this morning, I was praying for a loved one. I was also praying for the planet. And I just really opened up my heart space. I don't know if any of you have really, really prayed. Not just sort of said, please God, help me win the lotto, or please help me wake up at 6 a.m. That's not a prayer. That's not a prayer. A prayer is more sort of like really calling in something in your life. Like if someone is sick, saying, please help them through this, help them feel better. I can't do it. Like take the pain away. That kind of like mothers, fathers, and anyone that has someone that's sick has probably done that. If you really feel the pain of the planet, like Mother Earth, praying for healing of the planet, because a lot of things are going on where it's kind of falling apart. And right now we have a global crisis. It's a good word for it, pandemic, crisis, whatever, but where everybody needs some love. So I just opened up my heart, I opened up my mind, and I was like, we got to do something. And I connected with an angel, and it was a great sort of message that came through, which is, yes, it's all about love. It's all about opening the heart. And like this, if we could see the Five of Wands as a sort of chain around the planet, the message I got was that we'll be okay, but we have to love each other and we have to sort of pray for one another. The value of the prayer was I wasn't praying for myself. I was praying for the betterment of others and the planet. You can ask for some help at the end. I did too. I was like, I need some help getting this done too. And that's fine. I kind of piggybacked that. But the main thing was not for me. So I think that's the importance of prayer, is really when you pray for someone else, it's much more powerful. So today, let's try to not pray for ourselves. Let's pray for the collective to get better. And in essence, it will come back to us as well. The angel that I was connecting with had just gotten her wings, which was cool. So thank you for your message. And this is how I'm going to honor that, is we're going to try to send out some global healing today. Okay. And I did put chain reaction, and that's what the chain reaction is going to be. Everybody today is going to get a healing wherever you're at, whether it's you're feeling sad, you're feeling unhealthy. Maybe you do have, some sort of sickness that you're getting through, whether it's the coronavirus or something else, or you're just feeling alone or isolated, or you need help. This is a prayer for those in need. Okay. And we're going to come through it feeling like the King of Pentacles, like you've got the ability now to take care of yourself and take care of others, okay? Close your eyes, please. Get into a comfortably seated position, or if you want to lay down on your sofa or couch or whatever, that's fine. And just kind of let me take you away here, okay? Let's imagine that we're going to start this on a raft. I was going to do this for another sign, and it was meant to be for you today. So just see yourself on a raft. I want you to imagine that you're just really connecting with how it feels to go up and down. We're not going to get seasick. I just want you to sort of feel like the ebb and flow of energy. And as you use your third eye to look around you, notice that this is not a regular river or lake or ocean, but you're actually in a sort of beautiful pool of energy. And you are on a raft, and you're able to float on top of this energetic pool. And as you're doing this, you feel in this moment that you are kind of weightless. It's almost like you're above the planet, floating in space. But you're safe. You actually have an element that's connected to the earth, wooden raft beneath you. So whenever you feel like you're not grounded, connect to that earth element and just say, I've got this, I'm okay. So just enjoy floating for a moment. And as you're floating, feel that each and every fear that you have is falling into this pool of light. Your thoughts carry a sort of energetic signature. So the darker ones go into the pool, and you see them sort of light up for a moment and then fade away. So the pool is actually absorbing your shadow side. Fear of sickness, fear of poverty, fear of being alone, anger at not being able to control things, anything that I can't even articulate that's coming through. I just want you to feel like you can let it go. Take a few breaths with me. We're just going to breathe. And with each breath, allow for the luminous energy beneath you to come into your heart, into your lungs, into your body, and replenish, replace, and upgrade you energetically. Inhale. Let it really go through your body. And on the exhale, relax, melt into that raft, and just feel free. Breathe in again. Don't be afraid to take a deep breath. You can do it a little bit slower this time. Let it go. Good. Final breath. Natural breathing, nothing exaggerated. Start to replace all of the lower frequencies with higher frequencies. Allow me to say these things and maybe repeat them in your mind. I am love. I am light. I love myself. I love others. And I'm open to abundance in all forms. I can't always control what's going on around me, but I can control the way that I react. I choose neutrality. I choose light. I choose happiness. I forgive myself and I forgive others for mistakes in the past. If I can't forgive, I might be ready to forget. And if I can't forget, I'm going to focus on something else. We're all at different points in that journey. Allow your attention to go towards the sky above you. You realize you're not actually on this planet, you're somewhere else. You see a few stars in the sky, sun-like stars, kind of like we're looking in some sci-fi novel or book. See a color of one of those stars shine on you. Pick a color that you like. See that infuse your auric field, and especially come in through your third eye, allowing you to be more intuitive, to see things with greater discernment, with greater accuracy than you have in the past. Take one last deep breath, integrating the healing, letting go of the shadow, allowing yourself to feel strong, light, and bright. And now take a moment and let's connect. I want you to imagine that you can float up from the raft and you yourself have gotten your wings. These are figurative wings, allowing you to be free, untethered from everything that I mentioned earlier. Basically, you're an earth angel in this moment. I want you to find your way back to our planet, to our time, and all of us, let's join together above the planet and send light beaming from our heart space to everybody on this globe, who, wherever they may be, whatever status they may have, if they're healthy, if they're sick, let's just take a moment and send love. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to play this singing bowl as we do that. So if you're on headphones, you want to turn the volume down. Otherwise, feel your heart energy wrap around the earth as I play this singing bowl. On behalf of everyone here today, I'd like to say thank you so much. I'd like to also ask for global healing to God, to the planet, to the universe. Please help us now in this time to connect, to love each other, to see the best in one another, and to get through this as soul sisters, soul brothers. We're all connected. We're all in this together. Nice deep breath. Feel the love. Open your eyes on the exhale. Welcome back. Okay, that was, I definitely felt the energy on that. I hope you did too. And if we keep doing this, I feel like we can shift the frequency of the planet. So yeah, for the remaining readings that I'll be doing this month, we'll be doing global healing as a part of it. And I hope you leave this feeling stronger. The energy of the King of Pentacles definitely is what the takeaway is, which is you can get back to that place of having more than enough, even if that more than enough right now is just love and light and energy. I appreciate your presence today. Keep working on yourself. I haven't said this in a while because when I went to the live format, I don't really have a script. I kind of do it as a channel, whatever needs to come through. But I used to close my videos with gratitude saying, you know, we're really here. I'm here to help create a chain of light workers on the planet. So I'm getting back to that, at least for the next few videos, to remind you of that. Before I wrap up, just a little bit of business here. Anyone that has been kind enough to send a super chat, I appreciate you, and I will recognize you when the video goes on replay, and I'll put a little call out. So thank you to Pupak and everyone else that's done that today. I appreciate it. I can't call you out when I'm doing this because it just is too time consuming, but I do see you and I appreciate you. You can also give back with PayPal if you would like to, or becoming a channel member. Those of you that have green text in the chat, thank you for your sustaining and continual sort of support. Another way to do that is through Patreon. My username on YouTube, Patreon, and Facebook is the same. It's just Nicholas Ashbaugh. I'd love for you to join me on Facebook and Instagram, because on both of those networks, I use stories to remind you of what's coming through for any given day. My Instagram handle is @Nicholas_Ashbaugh. And you can also join me on Twitter, where I will tweet reminders of the readings and put links to it. So it's an easy way for those of us that are busy or forgetful to kind of remember where to go. And finally, you can always go to my website, nicholasashbaugh.com. Again, thank you so much for making today an amazing reading, for being part of this meditation, for helping one another. Wishing you all love, light, abundance, and healing. Stay healthy, stay well. Thanks for being present today. Take care of yourselves, and I'll be back in about an hour and a half to read for the next sign. So stick around if you would like to. I'll be doing Capricorn next. And the last two signs obviously are Aquarius and Pisces. Aquarius will be on Sunday, Pisces on Monday. The whole schedule's on my website. All right, take care of yourself and talk to you very soon. Thanks again.